Hello, my TV and movie lovers. I'm back with another video. So, you guys are really going to love this. This is such a cute movie. Now, last night, I was kind of skimming over looking for something to watch, and I stumbled upon this movie, which was made in 2014 called Love is Strange. Now, what I like about this movie is that it's a love story, but it also has like a lot of like ups and downs, like real life things that happen um, to to people in life, including like financial situations that cause you to have to kind of like downsides, which is what a lot of people are going through, like in this stage of development, the way the world is going right now. So I just felt like the movie was kind of relevant, even though it was made in 2014. It's just funny to see how, like, when someone, it's just kind of like now, like, there are so many people that I've talked to who happen to live in apartments and they go to renew their lease and their lease is going up by an exorbitant amount of money and they're just shocked and they can't even believe it. And, they have to move because they can no longer afford their home that they've been living in for years because of how things are going now. So I just felt like, oh, this movie is kind of relevant even today. But at any rate, so basically, in watching this movie, what I got out of it is that these two guys, without telling you too much, that is, these two guys, they genuinely loved each other. They were a couple, and one of the guys, he worked at a Catholic school, I believe it was. And although he was gay and they were aware that he was gay, it was almost like, I want to say like don't ask, don't tell kind of like it's just like, yeah, he's gay. He does a phenomenal job as his music teacher, but it's just kind of like an unwritten thing that they don't condone what he's doing, but they like him as a person, so they're gonna go ahead and kind of let it slide. But as the movie goes on, you see that their true colors do end up coming out. And, it's like, what did they really think about him? And there's this one part where it's kind of crazy because I can't even really tell you like this particular part, but because of some events that took place, it's like his employer ended up kind of like turning on him a little bit and not being so supportive. And it was just really weird because it wasn't like he was in the closet or anything, but he did work for a church. So it was just kind of like, it was just interesting to see that part and how it plays out. That's a big part of the movie. So like I said, I don't want to spoil the whole entire movie for you. But yeah, something does happen with the church and him. And it's just kind of like, wow, eye opening for him. And then the gentleman that he's married to, his partner, his name is John Lithgow in real life. I believe that's how his name is pronounced. And I'm just shocked. Two things. I remember seeing this guy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was on this movie called, it's a very, very old movie, and it's called Twilight Zone, the movie. And this movie was done, I mean, it had to be the 80s that this movie came out. And in the movie, he actually looked really old. So I was really surprised to see that this guy was still around. Well, come to find out, this guy, he's 71, but he just looks amazing. I mean, I thought he looked really, really, really good for his age. So it seems like he really took good care of himself. But that's neither here nor there. I just thought it was strange because I remember watching this movie, which took place a long, long, long time ago. And he looked like he was older, like a lot older, like way back in the 80s. He looked like, he was an older gentleman. So the fact that he is still here making movies and still, moving around looking very good and very fit, it was amazing to see him again. Then I did a little more research and I found that this guy actually has been on a lot of movies that I didn't even realize. He just a lot of movies. So his name is John Lithgow. I'm not going to name every movie that he's been in because it's going to make the video too long. But yeah, he's a really good actor, and it just shocked me to see him. That's all. I hadn't yeah, like I said, the movie that I remembered him from was a movie that I saw it probably about 6 years ago or 7 years ago, and it was called Twilight Zone, the movie. You guys might want to check that out too. It's a good movie. It's based on the old series Twilight Zone, which came out, I don't even know, I think maybe the 50s or something. But they made a movie about this show, and it was really, really good. And he was in it. And yeah, I watched it probably, like 5, 7 years ago, but I know it's really old. And yeah, yeah, it's just weird that, that movie came out in 80 something and he looks better now, I feel like, than he did then almost. So good for him. At any rate, moving on, the guy that plays his partner, he also plays in a lot of movies, and right now, I can't place all the movies that he's played in, but he actually is a good actor as well. So my point in saying all this is that you have a good, solid cast in this movie. So that's always good. And guess who else is in this movie? So she was one of the first people that I saw, and I was instantly intrigued. Marisa Tomei. Now, Marisa Tomei, I remember she was on A Different World. Yes, on the spinoff from, I think, the Cosby Show, when Lisa Bonet went to college. And not, I think, yeah, I know it was like one of the spinoff shows from the Cosby Show. I didn't mean to say I think, like, of course it is. And it was Marissa Tomei was actually in A Different World, but she played in, like, I think, I want to say she was only on a few episodes, or maybe only like the first season. I think her and Lisa Bonet left after the first season, but I do remember her being on there. I can't remember what her name was, but I remember she talked like a lot. And I think she talked really fast or something like that. And she talked a lot. So I do remember that. But at any rate, and she also, of course, famously known for My Cousin Vinny. Marissa Tomei has been in several movies. I can go on and on. She's been in several movies. And I like her. I think she's a good actress. So it was good to see her again. She played a good role. She played John Lithgow, the guy I was talking about, the older guy. She played his niece through marriage. So she was married to his nephew. And, so her role is really good too. I think that she did a really good job with showing her frustration and her emotion. Her range was really good in here. And I thought it was just really cute. The way her acting skills in this movie was good. I liked it. I enjoyed watching her in the movie. And then again, the cast was good. It was a solid movie. The story, the storylines of everybody I felt was good. The content of the movie, just basically the storyline, what the movie was basically trying to get across to us was good as well. It had some underlining meanings, which was good. You had to really pay attention because this movie deals with different aspects of basically gay people, because it did show like another couple like that were their friends that was gay as well. It just kind of showed the different sides, like from the younger, generations of gay people being together, partying, having a good time. And then they showed like this older couple, their side, and how they kind of like met, fell in love. And it also showed how it was showing how one of them throughout, because they had been together, I believe, 40 years. I think they said 40 years was the length of time that they had, 39 years, almost 40 years, basically. And it was funny to see the dynamic of who was faithful during those years and who was not. So they kind of like touch on that as well. But it's just a touching story because there's also like this young boy in there who is the son of his nephew, John Lithgow, the son of his nephew. And he's very much so a teenager. And it just shows how it just takes you back to when you were a teenager. Just the way he was just going through life, just basically trying to, find himself and just trying to figure it all out. At the same time, being kind of a grumpy teenager at times and just being frustrated with his parents. But just the way this kid ends up at the end, the way it turns with him, it was kind of shocking because I thought they were going to go another way with his character, but it ended up going a totally different way than the way I thought it was going to go. So that was pretty interesting, that part as well. I just thought it was really cute. It was just like this cute little love story. It wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like a cheesy type. It actually, they had a little bit of depth, not a lot of depth, but a little bit, enough to where it wasn't cheesy. Because I've seen movies similar to this and they end up being kind of cheesy. Some of them end up being kind of like lackluster. But this one, it really caught my attention and it kept me entertained throughout the entire movie. I love that they dropped in the characters that they dropped in there. I think it really helped to kind of like mold the story together to see the dynamic of all their friends, because they had friends ranging from all ages. So that was kind of interesting too, to see that they weren't just friends with like people their own age. They had, friends of different ages. And I think that's kind of important too. I think that keeps you, I think that's what kept them kind of going and still young and, knowing in the know. And I think that kind of helped them a bit as well, having those younger friends, because those friends ultimately came to their rescue when like a lot of stuff ended up starting to happen to them. So they started out doing great. Everything started out fine with them, but then a couple of bumps in the road and their whole life got turned around and they ended up in a really bad predicament to where they really didn't have a place to live. And they ended up having to try to find, like somewhere to live in New York City where the cost of living is so expensive. And especially for them because they had lived in the same place for, I want to say, I think 20 years or something like that. They had been living in that same place. But at this point, they could no longer, it was a place that they bought. So they, for some reason, for reasons that I won't say because I don't want to ruin the movie, they had to give up their home, and find something less expensive. They were no longer able to afford the home they lived in. Now, that part was kind of weird, like how fast they gave up their home. Like it was like they didn't even like. That's the one part I was just kind of like side eyeing. Like, why didn't they like try to make it work with their home? Like, I don't know if it was because they were trying to show us that they were literally living paycheck to paycheck. That's kind of what I got. And the fact that, you know, the income wasn't the same, so it was just really hard for them to maintain where they were living. It was just kind of like interesting the way they so quickly were ready to sell their home. That part just kind of like, I was like, well, why don't they just, I kept thinking, why don't they just wait and see if they can maybe work something out where they can get income to stay in that house? It just made more sense to me to stay in the apartment that they had purchased because this was a home that they had purchased. But at any rate, that's neither here nor there. They didn't stay and they ended up having a really, really rough time after that, just trying to figure out where they were going to stay. Anyway, that was a little overview of the movie, but the movie is really, really, really cute. It's so hard this is one of those that's kind of hard to do it justice because without ruining the whole movie, and I don't want to do that, but it was really a cute movie. You guys should really check it out if you want to just watch a romantic comedy. It's called Love is Strange, and it is on Showtime. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.